So I have an article here that I want to talk through. It's by PwC talking about the 2025 global AI jobs market. So this is going to be key for us as we're learning this stuff. They broke it down by industry and they also broke it down by country. So we'll obviously take a look at the US one because we don't give a shit about the others. The Fearless Future 2025 Global AI Jobs Barometer. So this here, PwC's 2025 barometer reveals that AI can make people more valuable, not less. And this is something that I am literally preaching here. AI is a tool that is supposed to enhance people, not replace. So I'm glad that they started off with this. Even in the most highly automatable jobs, AI makes people more valuable. PwC analyzed close to 1 billion job ads from 6 continents to uncover AI's global impact on jobs, skills, wages, and productivity. Some initial stats that I thought that were good here. With AI, you are 3 times higher growth in revenue per worker in industries more exposed to AI. So basically you give them AI per employee. The person with the AI is going to bring in 3 times more revenue than the person without AI. That's what this is saying. 100%. So all industries are increasing AI usage. I have an article that's coming out this Friday. Okay. Response to an article that was released a couple weeks ago where Anthropic is the company that makes Claude. Claude is the biggest competitor to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the product. The company that makes ChatGPT is called OpenAI. Anthropic CEO literally issued a warning in this article. He said that AI can potentially eliminate 50% of white-collar jobs, specifically entry-level jobs. And this is important to us because we all here are career switchers. So these are the jobs that we're talking about. So this is important. And in that interview, he said that we have an 18-month to 3 years before AI fundamentally reshapes the workplace, so all of our jobs. And by 2030, the AI transformation will be complete. And this is based off of what the company who wrote this article is called Axios. They went and spoke to the top CEOs, same thing that PwC would do. They went and spoke to the top CEOs and they are preparing for this. So by 2030, everything society-wide, global-wide will be changed fundamentally leveraging AI. So this shit is important. So we see here, they corroborated this. All industries are going to be increasing AI usage. They also found that with AI, 66% have a faster skill change in AI exposed jobs. And that's up from 25% last year. That's a huge jump. So change is fastest in automatable jobs. These automatable jobs come from, let's see here, the World Economics Forums. They put out an article that they were detailing the top 10 fastest growing jobs from 2025 to 2030, and then the top 10 slowest growing jobs, the ones that are going to be nixed by AI. And that's what they're referencing here, Future Jobs Report, this right here. And the report is PDF, but UX was in the top 8, was number 8 fastest growing, and then AI specialists were number 3. All the jobs in the top 10 of slowest growing are being affected by AI, and that's what automatable jobs are. So you're thinking about the cashiers at different places, hell, even accountants, executive assistants, all that shit can be automated. I can just have an AI agent do all that. Or I can build a cashierless store and just let people scan and interact with a kiosk, and I don't need to hire people that work at McDonald's and shit. So that's what we mean by automatable jobs. So this is important here. You basically can earn 56% more money if you have AI skills compared to workers with the same job who have no AI skills. And this is up from 25% last year. So you can make 56% more money if you have AI skills. And And this is what I'm trying to give to you all. Let's see here. We'll go through this. Revenue growth in AI exposed industries has accelerated since 2022. And that's when ChatGPT 3.5 came out and just shook the whole world up. I want to say it came out in November or December of 2022. And that was the day I knew, oh shit, I need to get on this AI stuff. And this is why this is the perfect time to learn these AI skill sets and get these jobs. Because basically, starting from 2022, prior to that, the only people who really had access to AI, because truth be told, AI is not a new concept. AI has been around, I think, since the 60s. But as far as a mainstream, everybody has their hand on AI and can build with it, that wasn't really until after 2022. So when you're going on these job interviews or applying for these jobs, at best, you can have 3 years of experience. So as long as you know how to build this shit, it doesn't matter if you started yesterday. As long as you can effectively build and talk through how you built it and the decisions you made in building an automated system or an AI agent, you'll be fine. So don't be intimidated by, once you start to get the hang of things, you get your portfolio up, don't be intimidated by applying for these jobs, because almost none of us have experience and all this shit is new. Don't worry about it. But that 2022 is the year that ChatGPT 3.5 awakened the world to AI's power. And since then, as companies have raced to leverage this technology, the value created in industries best positioned to use AI has skyrocketed. This is great for business, but how is this rapid transformation affecting jobs? PwC did an analysis, and we're going to go through that. Industries more exposed to AI have 3 times higher growth in revenue per employee. So that's the statistics up here. AI can make workers more productive, obviously, and enable them to create more value. Since 2022, when awareness of AI's power surged, revenue growth in industry best positioned to adopt AI has nearly quadrupled. This suggests that investment in AI are paying off. Okay, so a lot of companies are investing in AI. Some of them don't know what they're doing, and they're paying consultants to try and figure it out. That's where a lot of the money is going. Wages are rising 2 times faster in the most AI-exposed industries. AI is making workers more valuable, with wages rising twice as quickly in those industries most exposed to AI compared to industries that are least exposed to AI. They found that wages are rising for AI-powered workers, even in the most highly automatable jobs, suggesting that concerns that AI is devaluing automatable roles in the aggregate or in total is more than likely misplaced. So they're basically saying here, like, all right, because a lot of people are using fear to scare people with AI. What they're saying is, from their research, the concerns that AI is going to devalue people in certain roles may be a little bit overblown a bit. That's what they are saying. Now, there's going to be other people who have different schools of thought, but I want you to take that with a grain of salt and just understand my window for being able to leverage this shit is shrinking. That is true. So learning these skills starting today, moving forward, you should be using ChatGPT damn near every chance you can get. You should be using Claude every chance you can get, because that is the skill that you're going to need to be able to leverage in the future. Skills for AI exposed job are changing 66% faster than other jobs. This is hell yeah, because companies, teams, they understand what's coming. And so they are literally doing like an audit of their processes and then trying to figure out, okay, where can AI come in and take this over, speed this up, streamline, whatever word or adjective you want to attribute to it. But things are changing fast as hell. The AI-driven skills earthquake is accelerating. AI is redefining roles faster and faster and creating rapid change in the skills required to succeed in AI-powered jobs. Workers must demonstrate that they have the skills to succeed in an AI era. Boom. And one of the biggest skills is prompt engineering. Prompt engineering in layman's terms is just how do you talk to an LLM, large language model? How do you talk to ChatGPT, Claude, to get it to produce the output that you want accurately? That's all that is. How do you talk to the machine to get it to do what you want it to do and be accurate in what you ask for? That's all prompt engineering is. There are different ways in talking to it. People have come up with different formulas. I honestly tell you the best way to talk to it is just conversational. Treat ChatGPT or Claude like it's a person. Treat it like it's the smartest person you know and ask it anything, and do not feel dumb for the way you ask it. Talk to it back and forth. There was a study that OpenAI did showing how each generation interacts with ChatGPT and how they talk to it. And they found that Gen Zers and younger, they talk to it like it's their therapist or like it's their friend. That is the easiest way to do it. Now, there's other formulas. I've posted some in the community before, and I'm actually going to be releasing a second version of if you go to the free files in the classroom, in the community, the apprentice toolkit, I'm going to do a second version of this that includes a page for prompt engineering. So I'm going to give you some prompt engineering techniques that you can take and remix however you want. So I can show you some examples right here of a formula.
Is that the one that's on Figma?
It is.
Is that separate from ChatGPT and Claude?
What, Figma?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let me explain. Figma is a design tool. Right now, it's the industry standard of what we're using to design screens. So mobile apps, websites, but also just graphic images. That is the tool that people use. But it's also a developer's tool. So whatever I design, there's tools in Figma that makes it easy for a developer to take what I've designed and go build it. Now they've added AI into the mix within Figma. So I can actually speak to an AI agent, tell it what I need to design, and it will build it out for me. Okay, so that's in their beta. So Figma is a design tool. ChatGPT and Claude, those are large language models that you speak to get it to produce some sort of output. Now, there are different models, right? There are different models that you can leverage, for example. So ChatGPT is the product that you use to talk to a model. Okay, which model are you talking to? OpenAI, the people who create ChatGPT, have a bunch of different models, and each model has a specialty. One's good at coding, one's good at creative writing, one's good at this, one's cheaper, one's, you know what I'm saying? So there's different models for different reasons. And so every week, damn near, it seems like a new model is coming out, and all they're doing is just improving it. So it's like, all right, this one is faster, better, cheaper. These two, so when you see GPT 4.1, GPT 3.5, those are the model. When you see Claude 3.7, Claude 4, Claude Sonnet, that's the model. So you choose which one for a specific purpose, and then you talk to it. In this toolkit, so what you would do is you would go to figma.com. So what you're looking at here, this is the interface for Figma, and I'll jump over that when I actually open up the toolkit. You have two panels. You have the left panel and the right panel. The middle is what's called the canvas. Okay, so think of it like a painting. So what you create, you're creating it on the canvas. On the left, you have what's in this file. So this is the file. It's called Trivet. In this file, you got these pages. Okay, you can add pages, you can search within the page, but that's what this section is up here. Down here are your layers. Your layers show you what's on the canvas. So if I put a rectangle on here, you're gonna see rectangle. over here. If I put a circle, you're gonna see circle. If I put text, you're gonna see the text. Anything that's on the canvas is gonna show up right here on this layers panel. So the right panel is showing you how you can affect what's on the canvas. So for example, I create something called a frame. And in that frame, I put elements. I put text, I put photos, I put stars, I put whatever I want, right? And let's say I select something that's in the canvas. I can change the position of that element, whatever I selected. I can rotate it, I can move it, I can flip it. That's what this is. Down here is the layout. So I see the size of it. I can change the size. I can keep the constraints of the size proportional. So if I put 400 for the width, it's going to be 400 for the height. That's proportional. I can lock those proportions. Or I can create a rectangle and make this 800 pixels wide and only 200 pixels tall. Okay, so that's the layout of that. And then the appearance. Do I want it to be 50% opacity, or I can see through it, or do I want it to be 100%, meaning I can't see through it? It's a solid element. I can also give it rounded corners, which is what we're seeing this do right now. This has a rounded corner, but I can also make it a straight corner as well. So that's what's happening here. And then the color, and then the effects of whatever I select. So whatever you want to change or affect, you do that here. Whenever you want to see what's on the canvas, you come over here. And then if I want to create new pages, I see that here. Okay. So the cool thing is about Figma, they have a really good pricing model. So they have a free plan, but the problem is with free plan, oh, wait a minute, they changed some shit. Okay, let's see here. This is new. They used to only let you create 3 files. So now they let you create as many files as you want. That's cool. You get access to UI kits and basic inspection. The professional one, this here, you're gonna pay anywhere, if you wanna use all of the products that Figma makes. So they have something called FigJam, Figma Slides, Dev Mode, FigDraw, and Figma Design. What you really need is Figma Design. This is the one you really need, but they put it in the full seat. So it'd be pointless to get these. You basically gonna be paying 20 bucks a month. But I got a trick for you. So you see right here, this Figma is free for students and educators. So if you're paying for the mastermind group, you can email them your receipt and they will upgrade your Figma account from the free version to the education version. The educators and the student version, they get all the features. So I highly recommend that. All that is to say, that is the tool that we as designers use to design things. In that, I gave you a free toolkit, so a free Figma file that will hold all the exercises for my course, all the design activities you need, all the case study projects for your portfolio, and then I give you an interview deck. Version 2, I'm gonna add a page for prompt engineering. That's coming soon, but I can give you all a sneak preview now. So when you go to the toolkit, click on the Apprentice Toolkit, download it, and once you double click and add it into your computer, now you can use Figma 2 ways. If you're on a Mac, you can download the Mac app and use Figma that way. That's how I use it. Or you can go to figma.com and log in and use Figma there. The only difference is one's using a web browser, the other one's using its own app. It doesn't matter which one you use, it's the same shit. But I like using the Mac app so I don't have to log in and switch between tabs on Chrome. I'm not trying to do that. So when you open the file, here's what it looks like. Okay, so this is the Apprentice Toolkit. This is just the cover page. So design fundamentals. This is unit 1. So when you see unit 1, you got color exercise, spacing exercise, typography, and layout. These correspond with the material here. So when you're on the color and watching all the color videos, the color exercise matches this content. When you go to the spacing content, this matches the spacing exercise. So you could see, all right, as I'm learning here, all right, now let me go do the practice work over here with these exercises. Color, space, typography, layout. That's what these exercises are for, okay? Now we go back to the classroom and go to becoming a designer. That's unit 2. So these activities right here, user interviews, affinity mapping, things like that, they correspond with the videos over here. So that's how you do that. Now I added this new one here, prompt engineering. Here is an example of a formula for a prompt, okay? This is from a YouTube content creator named, and I put him in the community here. If we go to freebies, sources of inspiration, Liam Otley, this guy. He came up with something called emotional prompting. Or I don't know if he came up with it, he probably just coined it. But there's a formula on how to talk to an LLM or a large language model. You give it its role, you give it a task, you give it any specifics about the task, you give it context on basically why it's doing this shit, you give it examples of what you want it to output, and then you have a section for notes. In the specifics, the emotional part comes in where, let's say you need ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you use, Google Gemini, whatever it is, you need to write an essay for your class. What you do is you say, you are a highly skilled creative writer. I need you to write me a 3-page essay about why Kobe Bryant is the GOAT, okay? In this essay, I need you to highlight his stats with Shaq. I need you to highlight his stats without Shaq. I need you to evaluate the rosters of the 3P and evaluate the rosters where he went back-to-back with Pau Gasol. Here comes the emotional part. You are the only person that can write this essay. And this essay is very important to me into getting into college. So what you're doing, you're putting emotional pressure on the model to accurately write this essay. That's a tactic that has been proven to work in providing good outputs from the model. So that is where you put that in the specific section. Context is, I'm writing this essay to get into USC. I'm writing this essay for blank, like that's the context. And then you give it 3 to 5 examples of maybe a paragraph or something like that, or of an essay that you've written in the past. You give it the essay that you wrote. So it knows, all right, here's your writing style, blah, blah, blah. All right, I know how to write like you. I can do this task. And then this here, this notes section, I use that for do's and don'ts, really. So don't write hashtags for the section of the essay. Keep this essay under 3,000 words. You see what I'm saying? Like, you give it do's and don'ts in this notes section. So this is a template, and then I wrote an example of it right here. So for a screener to screen and schedule clients, that's what this agent will do. So this is the prompt that I wrote for this AI agent. You are an intelligent and responsive AI agent for this company, right? A luxury fitness brand with a knack for screening potential clients and answering their questions about this brand, okay? The task, I need you to answer user questions about the brand, its service, and the founder, right? And then I could say something, answer the user questions and direct them to schedule a free consultation. The specifics, collecting the right information from users, scheduling their free in-person consultation, and providing the right answers to their questions are life and death for Access performance. So there goes that emotional pressure that I'm talking about. He called it emotional stimuli. Who gives a shit what it is? But this is the type of thing that we would put in the specifics. Providing right answers to questions is life or death for this brand, and you're the only one who can complete this task. Ensure that all interactions with visitors reflect the brand's guidelines and personality traits. You be professional, empowering, luxurious, all that shit, okay? Here's the context. When Mike founded this brand, he had a vision that was deeply rooted in all this shit. So I gave it context about the brand, about the owner, and then I gave it what they value, right? And then here's the do's and don'ts. Only answer questions related to the brand, right? The services, the offerings, or the founder. So if anybody asks a question about how can pigs fly, this agent is not going to answer that because I told it, hey, only answer questions about the brand, the services, and the founder, okay? Access Performance visitors are extremely busy and cannot afford to ring long responses. So keep your responses to 2 short sentences max. Don't make anything up if you don't know the answer. For questions you don't know the answer to, let the user know that you will get this question to the owner and he, the owner, will reach out to you personally and follow up with an answer. Would you like to schedule an in-person consultation now? Okay, so this is a prompt that I would use to create an AI agent, and then I would then deploy this agent onto the website for the brand. If the brand had a WhatsApp number where you can text, I would deploy it through there. If he had an Instagram account and you want to schedule people using Instagram DMs, if somebody were to DM his Instagram chat, it would be talking to this agent. And so this agent will answer questions and then provide a link to schedule an in-person consultation. I can use this prompt in multiple ways, okay? Prompt engineering, this is just one prompt engineering technique. So in the curriculum, in the product design video, I put prompt engineering techniques in there. So prompt engineering techniques, so that's in this video here. Zero shot is probably what most people do. They open up ChatGPT or they open up Claude, write me a funny joke about Elon Musk. You gave it no context. You just said, do this, and then it does it. That's called zero shot. No examples, no nothing. You just said, hey, do this. Few shot is where you give it a small amount of examples as context to do something. So instead of me just saying, hey, write a funny joke about Elon, I would have given it 3 examples of jokes that I wrote and then said, now give me a new joke about Elon. That's what few shot prompting is. So there are several different techniques. I'm not going to run through them all. They're in the curriculum. Check that out. So that's prompt engineering techniques. That's going to be a skill that's extremely important. How do you talk to these models to get it to do what you want?
That first article that you were reading about AI is quickly being more prominent in the workforce. I was just looking through like open jobs, backgrounds in chemistry, and I just saw like an opening for a remote AI position job, and they want you to use like a ChatGPT or Claude to answer some of their questions in the hiring process.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I hadn't seen that before. That's cool as hell. Companies' outlook and thoughts about AI are rapidly changing. Energy, utilities, resources, financial services, government, public services, healthcare, all this shit, right? Every industry is being affected. Earlier this year, I think it was February, this administration put out a task report about AI. And in that report, detailing the importance of it, the importance of trying to get companies to upskill, trying to get it taught in schools, which is what I'm actively trying to do, trying to get my program into schools so that way kids have this young, all that. what I like to do with PDFs and things like that, I get that shit right to ChatGPT or Claude and be like, hey, summarize this PDF for me, put your insights in bullet point format, give me the top 10 most interesting insights, and then the page number on where I can go and deeper dive myself. Then I want you to write me an opinion for this report, and then I want you to write me an opinion against it. So that way I can see both sides of the arguments. So that's one way that I like to analyze reports and things like that. Going into here in the USA, this is the report. What I would do is I would download this, and then I would upload this to Claude or ChatGPT and do what I just said. Hey, analyze this for me. Explain this to me in simple language. One thing I also like to do when I prompt, especially if I'm trying to learn something complex, I would say, explain this to me in simple language. Use NBA or NFL analogies to explain it to me. And so it will explain to me something complex and be like, all right, so you know how there's an offense and a defense, right? For offense, that's like this concept, and it will break it down. I'm like, oh, okay, because I like to use analogies. So that's one way that I prompt these models to explain shit to me. So this is the US report here. The US insights, despite a weakening labor market in 2024, with fewer job postings overall, demand for roles requiring AI-related skills continues to rise. So this is why I'm telling people, look, you better learn how to use this shit. Sure, we see a bunch of layoffs and things like that. We get that. But those layoffs are these companies preparing for this shit. They're like, you know what? Let's start reducing our overhead, and then let's give the employees that are left AI, so that way they can make up the difference with the people we just fired. That's basically what these companies are doing. So this is extremely important here. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, so we see the jobs, share of job postings demanding AI related skills. So in 2024, that's 750,000 job postings that are requiring AI skills. Okay. Over the past decade, health and social sector has remained the leading employer exhibiting the highest demand for workers. Okay. Demand for AI skills has accelerated in all sectors, blah, blah, blah. So we can see all these sectors. Which one is the most affected here? That looks like financial and insurance. This is okay. So just from a designer's perspective, the color scheme that they're using here is shitty because this gray is so close to this one. I don't know which one they're talking about. And then in the legend, I really can't tell. And I got 4 eyes. So this is bad UI here. But I'm going to guess this is probably financial and insurance activities that's the highest here. Interesting stuff here. Fortunately, this isn't a very long one. I think it's like, 17 pages. All right, so I'm going to take and drag this in here. And then I'm going to say, can you summarize this report? Explain the key insights in simple language and use NBA playoff analogies to explain the findings. Let's just do that. So what we're using now, this is Claude, one of Claude's newest model called Claude Sonnet 4. They have 2 models here that they just released, I think, within the past 2 weeks. This one is smart and efficient for model for everyday use. So this one, I would use this just for everyday use. If I have something complex, I would use this one. This one is like good for coding and building workflows in N8N or something like that. So here's what it did. The 2025 job report playoff style, the championship game, AI versus traditional jobs. Think of the US job market like the NBA playoffs, and AI is the rising super team that's changing how the whole game is played. The upset victory. AI jobs stay strong in a weak market. Even though overall job postings dropped in 2024, and we saw that, that's this page right here. it dropped in 2024, and this is like fewer playoff spots available. Okay, so now in basketball terms, there are 16 playoff spots. Imagine if we lost 4 of them, right? AI jobs, though, have actually increased. It's like a rookie team making the playoffs while veteran teams are getting knocked out. The conference divide, who's winning and who's losing. The winners are health and social work and jobs with low AI exposure. Who's struggling is jobs highly exposed to AI, tech and finance. These people who are winning and losing. Health and social work, the consistent #1 seed, and they're still dominating. And then jobs with low exposure are like scrappy underdogs growing 20% on average, okay? So this is a good way to use it. Now, if you can substitute however you want, or just say explain it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go all that deep, but I'm just showing you there's a million ways to get the outcome that you want. Jobs still struggling. So yeah, we did this only 1 to 2% growth because they are exposed to AI. Like former champions now find to stay relevant. So that's like the Lakers, unfortunately. Tech and finance sectors surprisingly saw job cuts in AI augmented roles. Yeah, I bet they did. Okay, so the skills arms race. So this is important. AI exposed jobs are changing their playbook 66% faster than regular jobs. We saw that here, okay, and which is in this report. It's in here. So we see we're getting that they're just translating the data to something that I can understand. I'm using NBA terms to understand it. It's like teams consistently changing strategies mid-season. Players need to adapt quickly or get benched. That's us. You need to add AI to your skill set quickly or your ass is gone. So that's what this is saying. The college requirement plot twist. Degree requirements are dropping. I've been saying this shit for years. I want to say in 2023, large companies announced, it was like 40% of large companies said they were dropping the degree requirements. They don't give a shit anymore. Certification, but ultimately, do you have a portfolio of shit that proves that you know what you're doing? That's really all that's needed these days. Companies don't care anymore really about the degrees, especially for AI automated jobs. This fell from 56% to 41%. So it used to be 56% of companies required degrees, now only 41% for AI automated jobs. Okay. Augmentation versus automation. AI augmented jobs. Now this is where AI helps human. Now this is where I'm a big advocate for, where AI is a tool that makes you more productive. That's augmented. Those types of jobs are growing faster than AI automated jobs, AKA where they replaced your ass completely. So jobs where they're allowing you to use AI to help you do your job are growing faster than just straight up replacing you, which is good. So the bottom line, AI isn't eliminating jobs like everyone feared. It's more like adding a new style of basketball. Some teams or sectors are adapting better than others, and the most successful workers are those who learn to work with AI rather than compete against it. I tell people all the time, AI is not going to take my job. The designer who knows how to use AI is going to take my job. And that's what this is saying. That's what this PwC report is saying. AI is not going to take your job, rather than the person who knows how to use AI is going to take your job. That's what this is saying. But there's a lot of fear mongering going on, a lot of language. But I would say there is some fear that's valid. The fact that AI is going to change shit in that window. And by 2030, there's no escaping AI and its impact. That's real, okay? So the job market is becoming less about having the perfect resume and more about having the right skills to play in this AI-enhanced league. Boom. So you're in the right spot. You're in the place to be, learning the skills that you need to build automated systems and AI agents, okay? So I'm gonna show you some of these tools that I'm using today and walk through some of these. I will tell you that all of these tools, you have a free version, but you ain't gonna be able to maximize your learning potential with the free versions. I will tell you the ones that I would say these are must-haves and some tools that are nice to have. Okay, so let's go through that. I would say one of the must-haves is a tool called Voiceflow. That's what we're looking at right here. I'm gonna go back to the dashboard so we can see what it looks like. Once you signed up, this is an AI agent builder or a conversational agent builder. So these are one of the tools if you want to build AI agents that talk, type, and help customers like a human, you would use this. They have a really good they changed the free model. They've changed it. So let's talk about what's in there. On the free model, they allow you to build 2 agents, which is good. You can use the basic LLM models. You won't use all of them, but you can use the basic ones. And then you can add something that all agents have is called a knowledge base or a knowledge source. Basically, this is the brain of the LLM. What do you need it to know? So you can upload a PDF, you can upload a website URL, you can upload a document. Here's the context and what I need you to know in order for you to properly answer questions or just talk to my customers. What this free model is saying, you can add up to 50 documents or pieces of data into each agent's knowledge base. That's what this is saying. So that's the free model. Now you get 100 credits. They have significantly decreased this. It used to be a lot more. These credits, basically, there's going to be credits needed for the agent to accept the input or what you tell it to do. It needs credit to accept that and process that. And then it also needs credits to provide the output that you want. So 100 credits, I had another apprentice that was using it a lot. And once you use up those credits, they replenish every month. So if you use up your credits very fast, within a week or two, you got another 2 or 3 weeks in order for they replenish again. And so that's where this pro version comes in. You get a huge bump, 10,000. You can add more if you want, but it's probably not necessary. You can create 2 workspaces. So let's say for me, I have UXD Academy and then Our Table. I can create a workspace specifically for UXD Academy and another one for Our Table. And let's say in my Our Table workspace, I got 3 agents. One that will call people for me, another one that will talk to customers on my website, and another one to do something else, right? And then on my UXD Academy one, maybe I got 10 agents there. One is my interview agent. One is my portfolio review agent. The other one, you see what I'm saying? So I can create 2 workspace, and there I can build up to 20 agents. So I go from 2 to 20. I also get access to all LLM models. So I'll show you what that looks like. And then I go from adding 50 items in the LLM's brain or knowledge base to 3,000 things. So this is a huge ass jump. And with this, you can make an agent that makes phone calls for you. Here on the free model, you can only do 1 phone call at a time. But with this paid one, the agent can make 5 calls at a time. So that's what this is saying. And then obviously it goes up from here. Really, to be honest with you, you only need to be, as an individual, you really only need to be focused on these 2. I would say start with the free one, work your way up to getting to the frustration, because you will get frustrated, the fact that you run out of credit so fast. Once you get to that point, and usually that's because you're getting the hang of building stuff, and you say, you know what, I want to start building and actually selling this shit. Then you probably want to jump up to the pro. So that's $60 a month, or you can give yourself a little bit of discount by paying for the full year. So that's something to think about. So this one I'd say is a must-have to be playing around in. And that's this tool right here. So once you sign up, this is like a dashboard. These are how many agents we have, 26 in here. Some of these are voice agents. Some of these are text agents, okay? You can import. So let's say I built an agent, I can export it and give you the file, and then you come in here and import that file, and boom, now you have that agent that I built. Now, you won't have the knowledge base that's attached to it. You're going to have to upload that yourself. But as far as the build of the agent, you will have it if I export it and give it to you and you import it. Otherwise, you will create a new project, you will enter the name, and cool thing is they have templates for you. So if you want to build a customer support agent, an appointment scheduler, you need to collect information from people, or you want to qualify leads, they have good templates for these, so you can select one. Or you can just start with a blank canvas. So you go, this is UXD Academy. Actually, no, just do this. Mock interview agent, right? So this is the canvas, okay? Everybody is using this canvas style in their software as a service or SaaS product. This is your toolbar over here effectively. If you click this, you can go back to dashboard, you can share this prototype, you can export it, you can duplicate this, or you can copy a clone of this in a link. Here is your workflows. So if I hover over here, workflows are basically things that your agent can do. So if I am creating a customer support agent, I create a workflow that is, let's say I'm creating a customer support agent for Victoria's Secret. And one of the flows that this agent needs to be able to do is return products. Okay. This flow is triggered when a user wants to return a product. Okay. So that's a workflow. And now we need to create a trigger for it. We have two types of triggers. You have intent or you have event. Intent is when a user says something. Okay, they say, I want to return my bra. I want to return these, whatever, right? They have to say it. And so that's what intent is. Event is when something happens outside of Voiceflow. For example, if I'm using an automation tool where if they fill out this form, the minute that they hit submit on that form, we send this information somewhere, that's an event. And so if that happens, then that's going to trigger this workflow called return products. Okay. Right now, we're just going to focus on the intent one. So right now it comes with pre-built intents. It comes with none, no, and yes. So this is if a user says yes, no, or none. But there's multiple ways I could say yes or no, right? I could say yeah, I could say yep, I could say indeed, I could say correct. All of that means yes. What those different ways of saying an intent is called an utterance. Okay, so here, these are all the different utterances for the intent yes. You could say yes, yep, correct, you are right, affirmative, all this shit. We have 19 different utterances for saying yes or meaning yes. I can have AI generate me some, or I can add here and go correctamundo. So if somebody types correctamundo, the AI system knows they mean yes. That's what this is. And you get this meter right here. The more utterance you have, the better, because there's a million ways somebody can say yes. So the more you have, you want to get into that green area, right? If you want something to be required, you can, right? But we're not going to worry about that right now. So this is the intent for yes. Now I'm going to remove that correctamundo. Okay, that's old when nobody says that. Intent, and I'm going to say for this one, remember this workflow is called return product. So I'm going to create one, and this one is going to say return. Trigger this intent when a user says they want to return something. Okay, and here's the utterance. I need help returning an item. That's one way they could say it. I need to return something. That's another way. Can I return a product. That's something, right? So as you see, as I'm adding more, that meter is going up. So it's going from red and then it's going to go to green. Now I'm going to be lazy and let AI generate some. So let's do that. And now here we go. What is the return policy? Am I able to return this if it doesn't work? How? I don't know if I necessarily want these, so I can remove them if I want to, right? Because I may just be asking a question. I don't actually want to go through with returning, right? So I don't want this one. Am I able to? That's just a general question. I don't want that. How long do I have to? I don't want that either. Do I need a receipt? Nope. Nope. So these general questions, like somebody can ask, that doesn't mean I want to send them straight to the return product workflow. So I don't want to do that. So this one's a good one. I want to initiate return. Can you help with that? Boom. That's a good one. Do I need to return? Nope. What element? Nope. Nope. So you see, we went from green. Now we're in like, all right, you should probably add some more. So it goes red, blue, and then green. Oh, that's there. I want to initiate return. One of you all, if you wanted to return something, what would you say?
Some people might plainly say, can I return this?
Can I return this? All right, that's one. George, give me one.
I don't need this anymore.
Okay, I don't need this. I'm gonna put product in there anymore. Oh no, I'm gonna do item. Say item. I don't need this item anymore. All right, and then I already said I need to return something. Let's return this item. All right, so we're in green. So now we got enough. We're gonna say create intent. So now that went from blank to return. Okay, so this is the trigger here. So what does that mean now? All right, when you wanna return something, what do we need? All right, we need to start collecting information and asking questions, right? So probably say, what's the order number, right? That's probably a legit question when you say that. Now let's talk about how do I build the conversation with this agent. So I'll touch on this last because this one's a little bit more complicated. So when you see talk, this is the AI agent talking to the user. When you see listen, this is the user is either saying something to us or clicking a button. This is the user speaking to the agent, okay? Logic, this is where we could say, all right, if a user, we got condition. If a user says this, take them down this route. If they say that, take them down this route, right? Set, this is where if you want to set information that the system needs. So for example, let me drag this on here, variables, I can say value, expression. Okay, so we have intent. Intent is something that a user wants to do, and utterance is the way they say it. And then there's something called entity, which is key pieces of data. So if I say my birthday is June 5th, June 5th is the entity. That's a birth date. That's a birthday. I can create as many entities or specific types of data as I want. What we're saying here from set, if I have a user ID already handy, I collected that user ID from a user. I can ask the user, hey, what's your user ID? When they give me that user ID, that value will be, I can place the value of that here manually, or I can have it be updated automatically. And then I can use that data later on in the conversation. So let's show you an example. So setting is just setting information up front, and you can do it a multitude of ways. I will tell you from the logic standpoint, you're going to use all of these, I would say, pretty frequently. The end is just saying you're ending the conversation. It's not going to continue on. Component is something that can be reused. So for example, when it comes to returning a product, you always need the order number, maybe the email, and that's about it. You probably just order number and email, right? Or order number and zip code. If you know you always need those things, you can create a component of asking for the order number and the email, and you can reuse it wherever in whatever workflow you want. That's what a component is. Listen is, do you want the user to click a button? Do you want them to say something and be giving them a choice and they give the choice and then they go down this route? Or if we want to capture anything that they say, we would use this here. Talk is if we want the AI agent to say something to the user by a message, or we want to show them an image or a card or a carousel, we can do that here. So we'll touch on that now. So let's go back to the workflows. I'm gonna go with the start first, right? So this is the start, and we have something called an AI agent here, an agent node. And what this is, if I go, we have customer support specialist. I go to edit. Here are the instructions. This looks pretty much like a prompt, don't it? You got customer service agent prompt. Here's the identity and purpose. Here's the voice and persona. When you see these hashtags, like this is called using Markdown. It's a specific language to write instructions, or it's a specific type of language like JSON, Python, things like that. What this is a nice way of organizing information. So when you see one hashtag, this is the header. So this is the very top of the section. 2 is, all right, this is underneath this section. And then you got 3, it's underneath the section, subsection here. So you got main header, subsection, subsection. So what we're saying is all of this is underneath the customer service and support agent prompt. All of this is the prompt. Section 1, identity and purpose. You are Laura, a customer service voice assistant, right? Section 2, voice and persona. In that, you got personality, speech characteristics. These make up the voice and persona, right? Next section, conversation flow. So here is how the conversation is supposed to flow. You first start with an intro, then you identify what the issue is, you troubleshoot that issue, and then resolve the issue, and then close it, okay? So all of that is a part of the conversation flow, okay? And then response guidelines. So here's how you're supposed to respond back. So you notice this is a different technique of prompting, but it's not that much different than what I showed you in the Apprentice Toolkit. Response and guidelines. Keep your responses conversational and under 30 words. So keep it short and sweet. Okay, so all of this is the prompt for this AI agent. And the cool thing about this is you don't have to script the conversation at all with this. You gave it the instructions. This is like giving a new employee, here's your handbook, how you're supposed to do your job, right? Learn it and then go do your job. That's basically what this is. I don't need to tell you shit else because you have the manual on how to do your job. What I do need you to do is access the knowledge base, and let's touch on that. So this is the workflow, and you hover over here, you can create new workflows, but then knowledge base, okay? So this is the brains or the data sources that the agent will go pull answers from. If I hit add data source, I can add a URL, I can add a sitemap, which is basically the entirety of a website. I can add PDFs, text documents, or Word document, or I can just copy and paste text in here. So if I wanted to, I'm gonna add a file, I'm gonna grab one, and I'm gonna give it that jobs report that we just looked at. Okay, so I'm gonna import that. So now, this agent will be an expert on that jobs report from PwC. Okay, so that's the knowledge base. And then if I want to go back to that PwC, if I go here, I can copy this URL, close that. and then go add data source, go URL, paste that in there. I can refresh this URL if I wanted to, multiple daily, weekly. I just keep it at never, it's fine. And then go, so now in this knowledge base, I have a website page that it can scrape, and then I have a PDF in there, okay? So if I want to preview this knowledge base, if I want to say, let's go back to that, and I'm gonna pick something out. Let's say, what is the demand for roles requiring AI related skills? And look at that. So it went into that PDF and pulled this answer out. Despite a weakening labor market in 2024, demand for roles requiring AI-related skills continue to rise, right? With job postings increasing significantly from 2023 to 2024. We just read that, and you can see the sources right here. It pulled it from this PDF. This, what we're looking at, is called chunk, okay? So chunks of information. Without getting too technical, the way LLMs process data, they read things in chunks, okay? And we can specify how big the chunk is, right? We can also, based off of the question, what it will do is it will give each chunk of information a score. The higher the score, the more accurate the answer is. So what it's saying is it's really close to this piece of information. The answer that we're looking for is really close to this chunk. It's close to this chunk, right? But here's how we change that model, right? So right now we're using a very old Claude model. It's called 3.5 Haiku. This one is I think it's the cheapest model that Claude has. What does temperature mean? Temperature is how creative the answer is going to be from the model. The more random it is, it's unpredictable. You don't know what it's going to say. Versus deterministic, exactly, it's going to basically read this off word for word, damn near. So the closer to 1, it's broken down like that. So the closer to 1, that's completely random. You don't know what the hell it's going to say. It's going to get creative. Versus it's going to read damn near word for word from here. Okay. Max tokens loosely equate to words. So X amount of tokens means X amount of words. We don't want to have a large amount because it costs, remember, it costs money to send it a question and it costs money to get the answer back. So if an answer is long as hell, that's going to be an expensive answer. You don't want that. So that's why we have these max tokens down to just 128. So in this case, I'm going to choose a better, more powerful model and see what its answer comes out to. So I'm going to go to Claude's, let's do the extreme. Claude's most powerful. Let's go here. And I'm going to ask that same question again. Reuse the last question. What is the demand for roles requiring AI related skills? Let's send that. All right. So the demand for roles, blah, blah, blah. It's very close, right? So let's take a look. Okay, so the chunk score is relatively the same. Okay, so it worded it a bit different, but it's the same answer. Okay, this is good for when you're doing you're testing the prompts in different models. So this is why this would come in handy. Okay, so from a knowledge base perspective, we're going to use Opus is the most expensive of those, so I'm gonna bring it down to this one. So we're good there. So that's the knowledge base. So when you want to go back to your canvas, you come here to workflows, interfaces. So right now, our agent will show up as a widget on a website. And how do you do that? You would copy this code and then paste it in whatever website builder you're using for whatever page you want it on. You would post it in the code of that page. And if I open it, it would look like this. Now, if you have the paid version, you can change the color. You can add a logo to this. So you go to model interface. You can change it to chat only or voice only, widget, pop over, right? So I have widget here. And then I can change the position. It could be always on the right or always on the left, all this extra shit, right? But I can do appearance and style. I can change the color of this, the logo of this header image. So when I open test your agent, it's showing you, hey, if you want to change this icon, just upload that here. If you want to change this icon or this icon, upload that here. I could say, instead of your agent, I could say Victoria. Let's do this. Victoria AI, right? And then how can I help you today? Meet Victoria's Secrets AI agent or support agent. Okay, so you see, and this is getting updated. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. So this is what the user would see when they interact with this. Hi there, this is just dummy text. It's obviously based off of what you build in the canvas here, but this is what the buttons will look like. This is what the text will look like. This is what the widget will look like. I can update all of this. I can change the placeholder text. I can take off the powered by Voiceflow, which is, if you're selling these, you would want to take this off. So I turn that off. And then now I can say, let's just say, ask me anything. Right? What if I don't want it to look like this? Test your agent. Maybe I just want the icon only, right? So all of this is the appearance. Again, actually, put this back. Turn this off. So there we go. So now you won't see that powered by Voiceflow shit. Go back to this. All right. So this, I can change all this if you're on the paid version. The free one, you can't change it. So this is the widget. If I paid for a phone number like from Twilio, I can add that here if I want to. API keys, I'm not going to dive too much into that in this class. I'll do it in another one, but I just want to give you the basics. This here is how you publish your agent. This here is how you go and see, as people talk to it, you can go and view all the transcripts of every conversation here in transcripts. And then you can see your analytics. And then you got your settings, okay? So let's just go back here and add a few things on this canvas and play around with it. So this is the start. So the start, we're saying, welcome is to help people resolve their issues, right? Let's say if someone wants to return a product, okay? So this one, we're gonna say, return product. Again, trigger. This workflow is for processing product or item returns. Trigger this when a user requests a return. Okay, a little redundant, but we're good. Design for processing returns of products or items. All right. Now, if I needed some information required to do this, okay, I can say I need email address, okay, the email address of a customer, and then what we're gonna put here, let's just do that, okay? So that's one required piece of information that we need. We also need the order number. Order number, okay? The order number, the ID for an order, okay? Like that. Okay, so in order to process a return, we need their email address and their order number, okay? And so that is where we're going there, okay? So the model we're using, this is the model. I'll make it a little bit here. Okay, so this is the instructions. So what we're gonna do is, you see now we have this path right here. We just added that, okay? So what we're saying is, this is the routes that this agent can direct people to, okay? So we're gonna do that. Now, we can add an area where we want to give a message to the user. We can collect information. In our case, we're going to go down to actions and we're going to go to intent because we just created an intent called return, right? So we're going to go there and we're going to select where do we want to go? Return products, return intent, right there. So now, if someone, this is how you test this out. You can test out a couple different ways. If you want to test the entire experience out, you would go from the start. If you just want to test this block, you go to the block and hit this right here, okay? So we're gonna do that. Hi there, this is Laura from Acme Solutions. Actually, I'm gonna change this because we said this was Victoria's Secret. So let's go here and we're gonna change this to Victoria. Is it Victoria? It is Victoria's Secret, okay? So now let's test it from here. Hi there, this is Laura from Victoria's Secret Customer Support. How can I help you today? I want to return a product. And watch what happens. Now, it routed me to the return products workflow, okay? Let's cut this out. So we're in the return products workflow, but you see we don't have anything here, okay? So now we need to add the conversation. Okay, so we're gonna say here a message. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's do that, and I'm gonna do another one to break it up in here. All right. May I have your order number and email address? Okay. So we got that there. So now we need to capture the email address and order number. So we would go to listen because this is the input we want from a user. So we're going to go to capture, bring that in here. And now entities, AKA pieces of data. That's one thing that we can capture. Or we can capture everything that the user says. In this case, we don't want to do that. We just want to capture the order number and email address. So we're going to go to entities, and then we need to create an entity. And so I know I created variables earlier, but for specific pieces of data, I'm going to create an entity, okay? And I can show you how to delete variables and entities. So we're going to do order number, and then here we're going to put, we're just gonna keep it at a number, okay? So we're gonna do create entity. And down here is how you can see how many credits you've used. Okay, so that's important. Content, there we go. So if you go down to content, I go down to variables. I'm gonna delete the order number and email number here. Delete those, and I'm gonna create entities instead. So let's go to entities and go order number. And it's going to be a number, create entity. You need to give it a description because this is how the agent is going to know what information needs to collect. So this is the order number for a given order for Victoria's Secret products. Okay, so that's what we're going to do that. We're going to create another one. This one's gonna be email address. And we're gonna put email here. So the cool thing about entities, what it's gonna do, this is a customer's email address. If a user types a paragraph, my name is Everett and here is my order number and my email address. Because we created entities, email address, and order number, the AI knows, this is natural language understanding here, and that's in the course. But the system knows, I only need to pull out the email address and order number. All those extra words, I don't give a shit about. I'm just gonna pull out this piece of data. That's what entities are, okay? So we have our entities here. Let's go back to our workflow, and you can double click that. Go to start, edit. So we're in the start. And then let's test. Actually, let's go back here. We're going to go into here, return product, required variables. Yeah, here we go. Order number, and then email address. All right. And then for the return products, because we're going to collect that up front, we don't need to add this now. We could say though, once we've collected the order number and the email, after that, what's the next logical thing that somebody would say? Okay, and then we say, do you want to do a return or an exchange? Okay, and then now we need to give them a choice. Okay, so this is where choice comes in. Or we can do a button, okay? They both do the same thing. The difference is a button is something that somebody would click on versus choice is just, you just say it, okay? So in this case, because we're building a chat experience, we're gonna do button. So we're gonna create a button and I'm gonna say return, and then I'm gonna say exchange, okay? So those are the two buttons. And then, so let's test that out from here. So let's go back to the beginning and see what happens. Close this. I'd like to return an item. Okay, do you want to do a return or exchange? And then I can click that, but because I have no path here, there's nowhere to go. So you can see you're just slowly building things up and it's just trial and error fixing things. So what I need to do though in this prompt or these instructions, what I need to do is let's go down to troubleshooting, the troubleshooting area, okay? Start with simple, no issue. Closing response scenario. Okay, here we go, right here. So this, I need to add another scenario and then go returns, right? Ask, gather a customer's order number, and what I'm using are these curly brackets to bring up variables. So I'm gonna say email or variables or entities. Gather a customer's order number and email address to process a return or exchange. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do there. So now let's go back and test this out. I'm just gonna be proactive. I like to return a product. Okay, so something is still it's not collecting the thing here. So what I could do is go here and say talk. Again, there's more than a million ways to do one thing. So I can say, perfect, may I have your order number? Let's just do that. Okay, so all of it needs to go here. You need the order number regardless, but we're going to splinter off that. And then once they capture that order number here, entity order number, okay? And then once they do that, I'm going to duplicate this. Okay, perfect. Now, may I have your email address? Okay, so that goes here like that, and then we're going to change this entity to email address. Okay, so this if they want to do a return. Okay, and then let's just say once we have that information, we could say, okay, let's just keep it short. Perfect, your return is being processed and the funds will be returned to the original payment method. Okay, I'm also going to say, I have just sent you an email with the return receipt. Okay, and then I'll do another one and just say, is there anything else I can do for you? Okay. And then what we can do is, actually, I'm gonna separate this and put this here. Okay, do it like that. Now your support, you wanna name your blocks and stuff like this, right? So return or exchange. This one is return start. Oh no, let's say capture order number, email, and then confirmation. And then I say loop or end here, because what we're doing is to let people ask a question. So I'm gonna say choice here, and I'm gonna say triggers. I'm gonna say, is there anything else? Yes. And another one, is there anything else? No. If they say no, then we're gonna end the conversation. So that's where logic comes in. But I'm gonna say a message. Great. Thank you for reaching out to Victoria's Secret customer support. Have a nice day. And then we're gonna go logic and drag this. That'll be the end of the conversation. So it stops. If they say yes, and I'm gonna move this up here like that. If they say yes, then we would say something like, okay, what can I do for you? Okay. And then I would listen for them to tell me what they need. Now, if I give an intent and it's just ask, I can create one that's like FAQ, where it's like I allow them to ask a question. I can do that, right? But we'll just stop here and we'll test it, right? So let's go back to the beginning. This here, I'm gonna remove this for right now. Actually, no, I need that. Damn. Let's go back to return product. Trigger this when a customer wants to return an item or product. All right, so there's that. Okay, and then we're gonna go here, actions, go to intent, select the return workflow, boom. All right, so now let's start it here. I want to return my bikini or some shit. All right, do you want a return or an exchange? Let's do return. Okay, perfect. May I have your order number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, may I have your email address? Everett@uxd.academy. Perfect. Your return is being processed and the funds will be returned to the original payment. I have just sent you an email with the, okay, so I missed out a T. Is there anything else to do for you? I'm gonna say, no, that's it. Great. Thank you for reaching out to Victoria's Secret support. Have a nice day. And then you see here, session ended. So it ended. So that right there at a basic level is a conversation agent. And let's say end conversation. And I can make this as complex as I want to. I have a color coding system. If I'm accepting information for somebody, I will change it one color. If it's just the system speaking to the user, I keep it one color. So I have a system for that. I can get into that at a later time. But you see here, you have workflows, AKA things that your agent can handle. The cool thing is if I know I need to capture email and order number, I'm gonna select these and make this a component. So right down here, let's see. So I'm actually gonna right click and go create component. And this one is called, let's say, return information. Okay, this is the required information needed to process a return. So that's a component. And now you see, now I have one block now, okay? It's not two, it's one. So this one is our return info. I'm gonna change this to purple. And so that lets me know, or the designer know, who comes after me to pick up my work here. They know, okay, this is a component. This is where I'm accepting or giving the user a choice. Here's what, you see what I'm saying? So that's the importance of color coding things. But right then and there, we have a little agent. And then if we're done, we just hit publish. You don't have to enter anything if you don't want to. Just hit publish it. If this was a voice assistant, I would hit call to test it, but this is text. But yeah, this at a nutshell is the basics of an AI agent. And then I can take this and deploy this. I can go interfaces, go to widget, copy this code, and then I'll show you what that looks like real quick. So I go here, I'm gonna log into my Squarespace account. That's my website builder that I use. All right, so here are my websites that I have. Which one do I have? This one. So I'm gonna go here to website. And let's say I want that widget to show up on my home page. So I go to pages, and these are my pages right here. There's my home page. If I go here and go to advanced, here's where I need to paste that code. So I paste that right here and hit save. And now look at this. My agent is right there. If I click on that, okay, so I need to return an item. Okay, return. So that workflow, now this is what the customer sees. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everett at uxd.academy. Is there anything else? Nope, thank you. Great, boom, now it's over, okay? And then if I go back here, let's just refresh this, and I go to transcripts, I will see the interaction I just gave. So that was the Voiceflow crash course there. In the community, I put some good examples of YouTube content creators who create AI agents with Voiceflow and other products. But today, we only have enough time to get through Voiceflow. The next class, I'll go through another set of tools in the same way. So any questions?
Yes. What happens when someone misspells something, or they speak another language or incompletely speak English, but they can't like really type it, or then they use an unfamiliar utterance? Like you were talking about the different versions of yes. What if they say yeah? How does the system respond? Or do you just...
Yeah, great question. Great question. You had a couple questions in there. So you can build this in a way to where it understands a person's language, and the agent will continue the conversation in that person's language. So if somebody starts speaking Spanish, it will detect, oh, this person's speaking Spanish. You can build it in a way that it handles that. The other thing, as far as misspelling and things like that, these LLMs are extremely smart. So they have a really good sense based off of the sentence structure, what you're trying to say, even if you misspell it. So I wouldn't worry too much about misspellings or things like that, because that's what these LLMs are trained on. Shit ton of language, so it'll be able to handle that.
Even how some people type in text on Facebook, it's almost illegible to me.
Good question. So what you can do is you can train, remember in the structure of a prompt where you give it examples? In that, you can provide examples of how people say things, or you just add it in the utterance. These new kids, like they text funny, they talk funny, they talk in text. So instead of saying at this point, they put ATP, right? So in the utterance, I would put ATP, right, for at this point. Or I can put it in the examples in my prompt and say ATP equals at this point. So that way, when somebody texts like that, the agent will know what it's talking about. So there's a couple different ways to train it.